Welcome to the Midnight Gathering with Nancy Nightmare
and the Wizard.
Journey with us where the bizarre,
the mysterious, and the macabre meet.
And welcome to the episode.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
We're kicking off Creepy Christmas Month, in case you couldn't tell by the ensembles.
Yeah, let me see what you got going on there.
I've got ho-ho horror on my shirt.
And I've got a skeleton having a
nice hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate.
Yeah, looking good.
Thank you.
So we're celebrating Halloween, but it is December.
So it's Chris-Oween?
Oh, gosh. No, it's not Chris-Oween.
Okay, sorry about that.
It's Creepy Christmas Month.
It's Creepy Christmas Month.
I mean, I guess it could be Chris-Oween if you want it to be. But
No. It is Krispy Kreme.
Krispy Kreme
Christmas.
Month. I wish it were Krispy Kreme Month. We don't have a Krispy Kreme around us.
Yeah, and Nancy Nightmare, what are we talking about today to kick off Creepy Christmas?
Funny you should ask, Wizard.
Yeah.
To kick off Creepy Christmas Month, we're unpacking Krampus, also known as Krampus, depending on how you pronounce it, from 2015.
Tell us, well, before we get into this, tell us where you rank this film.
I am having a feeling that I like everything, which is a problem if you're trying to review films. However, I will note that we had never seen this previously.
Yep.
Somehow we managed to miss this one, and I'm not sure how. I went into it with no expectations. I didn't read a thing about the film. I knew about Krampus lore. I did not realize that this would be such a wholesome film.
Yeah.
It was downright heartwarming at moments.
Yeah.
It was a very good Christmas movie.
I agree.
But there were some scary moments. There were certainly some horror elements, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
I immediately bought the Blu-ray of this after watching it.
Yeah.
And it's going in the Christmas rotation.
Absolutely. I agree with Nancy Nightmare here.
Smart man.
Smart wizard. Mm-hmm. And easily one of my favorite Christmas movies. So let's get into it.
All right, let's get into it. So as I said, we're unpacking Krampus from 2015, the holiday horror film that reimagines Christmas traditions in the most terrifying way. We'll also dive into the rich and sinister folklore of Krampus, the anti-Santa figure who has haunted Alpine holiday celebrations for centuries.
All right. Directed by Michael Dougherty, Krampus 2015 tells the story of Max Engel, a young boy disillusioned by his dysfunctional family and the loss of Christmas spirit. In a moment of anger, Max rips up his letter to Santa, unknowingly summoning the wrath of Krampus, the ancient Christmas demon. Before we go any further, I want to talk about the introduction to the film. The joke about Black Friday shopping, where they're at the Mucho Mart.
Yes, it was a commentary on consumption culture, which was a funny way to kick off the film, because when you think of the holidays, you tend to think of the warm and fuzzies and the Christmas tree and the Christmas sweaters. And to see people fighting over merchandise at stores, I mean, it was a bit of a throwback, because do people even go to physical stores anymore?
I don't think so. But at the time of the release of the film, it was very much on social media. Those funny films about people just absolutely losing their minds, beating each other up, wrestling each other to the ground. So it is a satirical look at Black Friday shopping and the loss of the Christmas spirit. It became about consumption.
Yeah, I mean, part of me feels like that's very on brand with Krampus, so he might enjoy watching people tear each other apart for a discounted television set.
Yeah, we'll soon find out.
So if you haven't seen the film, spoiler warning, you can guess a bit what happens. Probably it's not rocket science. But as a powerful blizzard traps the family in their home, Krampus and his monstrous helpers, twisted versions of holiday icons like gingerbread men and toy soldiers, begin to terrorize the Engels and their relatives. Guided by the ominous warnings of Max's grandmother, Omi, the family learns that Krampus punishes those who lose faith in the spirit of Christmas. This sounds familiar. As the horror escalates, the film explores themes of family unity, belief, and the consequences of abandoning tradition. How could you?
Yeah. And The director talked about this, where the film is like a blending of horror. It's a blending of traditional Christmas movies, comedy, and dark fairy tale, like you had mentioned as well. The film teaches us a lesson, and I think that was kind of where he was heading with the Mucho Mart display of Black Friday shenanigans.
Right. So as a culture, we've lost faith in Christmas. We've lost the meaning of Christmas. And then individually, poor little Max.
Yeah.
Although I actually think Max had a very sane reaction to his terrible family personally.
Yeah.
His family was not cool to be around.
Yeah. Yeah. And it also plays on that, right? The family dynamics. You have two families of two different backgrounds who are just trying to get through Christmas. There's even that, funky moment where the mother is looking at the picture and notices that Santa is a bit of a creeper,
Right. He was being a creeper staring at her teenage daughter.
Yep.
I also want to mention that Toni Collette, one of my favorite actresses of all time, plays the mother in this, and she's brilliant. If there's any question as to what a fantastic actress she is, to watch her screaming her absolute head off, like somebody, killed her child in front of her as these ridiculous creatures attack her family. I mean, I would have broke out laughing if I saw this stuff. And she is such a good actress. She was so in the zone.
Absolutely. And I want to mention that Max really struck a chord with me, my black heart, because I remember being about 13, 12, like between 10 and 13, and that very fragile age where you're on the cusp of entering, adult life and still holding on to the magic of Christmas. And you're kind of like, is this thing real, or is it just something my parents told me? And, it's all make believe. My parents
never told me Santa was real.
What?
Yeah. You didn't know that. Yeah, no,
spoiler alert.
My father said he didn't want to lie to me, which I actually find to be very honorable in a way. But it also ruined me for Christmas a bit, because I knew it was just folklore. But he did tell me not to tell the other children and not to ruin it for them, which I didn't.
Yeah.
But part of me always believed in Santa anyway and thought that my dad might just be wrong.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because Christmas traditionally is a magical time for children, right? Mm-hmm. There's trees and wreaths and the smells of delicious food being cooked. And then, poof.
I know you well enough, though, to know that you were a true believer as a child and a very earnest, optimistic
wizard.
Sweet child.
Young wizard.
I was already jaded. I had experienced things in my personal life. I'd seen things that other kids probably hadn't seen. And I was in reality a lot. So I was already semi-jaded at that age.
Yep.
Which makes us a really funny duo.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And there also the manifestation of Krampus through the tearing up of that Christmas letter and in opening the gates to Krampus and his cohorts.
It's it's just like The Exorcist. You're opening yourself up to the possession. You did something wrong. You didn't believe enough. You didn't follow the rules.
Well, yes and no. I mean, also the family too, the dynamics and the fighting.
Listen, Wizard, it's all about control. They're trying to control us, whether it is with Christmas lore or with religion. And we're not going to let it happen. We're not buying in. I'm going to go off on a tangent. Give me a microphone. I've had espresso. I'm ready to keep going. Okay.
So blending dark comedy with genuine scares, Krampus creates a unique mix of festive cheer and terror. The film's visuals, steeped in snowy landscapes and ominous shadows, echo the surreal, nightmarish tone of classic holiday cautionary tales. While retaining its horror roots, Krampus also offers a satirical look at consumerism, which we discussed, and family dysfunction during the holiday season.
Dysfunction, indeed. Gonna have to beep that.
Beep. Sorry, let's try that again. Satirical look at consumerism and family dysfunction during the holiday season, making it both entertaining and unsettling.
Yeah, I mean, it was the beginning was unsettling for sure, to see a mirror held up to our patterns of consumption. And, as Halloween fans, sometimes I even question the amount of Halloween decorations and stuff I have. I mean, any holiday that you love, I love things very hard. I get obsessive about them. And I can see how that would happen at Christmas too for people, especially if they're trying to provide things for their children. There's a desperation, things go on sale you couldn't normally buy.
Yeah.
And then you get competitive. Yep. I remember, back in the archives in the 80s, I know that there were like fist fights at stores over Cabbage Patch Kids. Cabbage Patch Kids were those dolls that were, I didn't actually have one, but they were kind of plush and they looked like babies. Yep. And they smelled like baby powder, apparently. And all the kids wanted them, but it turned violent.
Interesting. And funny that you bring up the 1980s because Amblin films were mentioned in a lot of the research that I'd done in terms of inspiration for the film. So like movies like Poltergeist and Gremlins. And you definitely, if you've seen those movies, you get that vibe in Krampus for sure.
Yeah, it did. You know what? Now that you mention it, that's probably why I liked it so much. It did have those good Gremlins 80s vibes.
Yeah.
That mixture of warm and cozy vibes with the unsettling possibility that horror is about to approach and destroy them at any moment.
Yeah. And the film has the makings of a Christmas holiday movie. It's got all the tropes, right? Mm-hmm. The conflict between family members just trying to get through the holidays, an overworked father who doesn't have time for Max, and poor Max, all he wants to do is bring his family together to share this in the spirit of Christmas. But
his family are assholes. I'm sorry, his family were assholes.
Yep. And Grandma was trying to tell him, you need to hold on to that spirit or else.
So you have to be nice to these assholes or Krampus is going to come and kill you and your whole family.
Yep.
Okay. Just want to make sure I'm getting this right.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, Nancy Nightmare style.
I want to also mention my favorite character, Aunt Dorothy, played by Conchata Ferrell. Hilarious.
Yep.
Clearly hated children.
Yeah.
Did not give one flying. She had none left to give.
Yep.
Gave the children alcohol.
Yep.
That's the type of aunt that I aspire to be personally.
Well, she was just getting them ready.
She knew what was coming. She said, kids, it's not good. Time to have a drink. So as far as the actual lore of Krampus, the legend of Krampus originates in Alpine folklore, particularly in Austria, Germany, and other Central European regions. Krampus is the shadowy counterpart to St. Nicholas, aka Santa Claus as we know him, often depicted as a half-goat, half-demon figure with large horns, a long tongue, and a serpentine... No, not a serpentine penis this time. That was our friend Pazuzu.
Yeah.
Long tongue and a chain of bells. While St. Nicholas rewards good children with gifts, Krampus punishes the naughty by whipping them with birch branches, dragging them to the underworld in a sack, or even eating them. Sounds like a good date to me, wizard.
It's very metal.
It is very metal. Can't say he's boring.
I'm surprised like Iron Maiden hasn't written like a Krampus song, you know?
Yeah, maybe we need to do a concept album
about Krampus.
Yeah. Now I want to warn everyone: you're about to enjoy Wizard's German right now.
Yeah. Krampus knocked. Right? Did I pronounce it correctly?
I thought that was good.
That's pretty good. I think of like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Krampusnacht.
Or Krampus Night takes place on December 5th, right around the time of the release of our video. The eve of St. Nicholas Day. Traditionally, young men dress as Krampus in elaborate costumes and roam the streets, scaring children and adults alike. This event is known as, oh boy, here we go. I'm just going to say Krampus Run because I can't, my German.
Krampuslauf.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm saying it right, but I feel like I'm saying it with the right spirit.
Yeah. Where revelers carry torches and bells, bringing the sinister tradition to life. In some regions, the custom also involves house visits, so he's like a doctor, where St. Nicholas rewards the good children and Krampus warns or punishes the naughty ones.
I'm inviting Krampus over this holiday season.
Yeah.
I think he sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
The origins of Krampus are thought to predate Christianity. No, really?
Yeah.
with ties to pagan winter solstice celebrations and rituals. Some historians believe Krampus was originally a figure associated with fertility or the wild, untamed nature of the season. When Christianity spread, Krampus was folded into St. Nicholas traditions, serving as a moral foil to emphasize the rewards of good, aka compliant, aka subservient behavior, and the punishment for wickedness, aka independent thought of any kind.
Well, this is why I love Doherty's take on this film, because he subverts these things, you know? Like, it starts out like a regular Hallmark movie, right? But quickly things descend. A huge blizzard comes in and all hell's going to break loose.
Yeah, it really did a good job. I mean, there was even a moment my eyes teared up in the watching the movie. I thought, wow, he's managing to make this film both wholesome and a little scary.
Yeah, I know he also referenced like the OG Christmas horror movie, A Christmas Carol, and It's a Wonderful Life. So there's that dark fairy tale lesson that the family's about to learn.
I also thought that the way they designed Krampus in this movie looked a little bit like the faun in Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah, Guillermo del Toro vibes for sure.
Yeah, it had that dark fantasy feeling to it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to totally spoil the ending, but I'm glad that they didn't wimp out at the ending too much. Because I was a little disappointed for a second.
Well, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. So that's going to be
That's
the
right. We're still
finale.
talking about the real Krampus.
Yeah. So its significance and revival. In modern times, Krampus has experienced a cultural revival, especially in Europe and the United States, once suppressed by the Catholic Church and Nazi Germany for being too pagan or subversive. Krampus has regained popularity as a symbol of counterculture holiday traditions. Events like Krampusnacht are now celebrated with parades, festivals, and art exhibits showcasing Krampus-themed merchandise and costumes.
The resurgence has also inspired pop culture portrayals, with this film being one of the most notable examples. While the film takes liberties with the legend, leaning heavily into its horror elements, it introduces a wider audience to the folklore and creates a renewed interest in alternative holiday narratives. It did. I feel like Krampus got really popular around this time, maybe a few years earlier even.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Prior to that, I had never heard of Krampus myself.
Yeah, me neither.
So it was a real pop culture phenomenon around this time.
Yeah. And I remember in my research also hearing that during the long winter months, the idea of a Krampus was used to kind of keep children in check, right? Because you're not going anywhere. If you're snowed in, and then you're going to have a bunch of rambunctious children just running around.
Isn't that interesting, though? You would think that the promise of positive reward with St. Nicholas would be enough to control the children. But you also need the dark figure as a threat.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't just say, hey, if you're very good, you're going to get all these wonderful presents. You're going to say, but if you're bad,
yeah,
Krampus is going to hit you with his stick and put you in a bag and you're done for.
Well, that's what I feel makes life so fun. It's the two opposing forces, the duality that are at play.
Right. Yeah, and it's highlighted in this movie. And none of these characters are pure good or pure evil. I would say Max is probably the closest to pure good.
Right.
But even the other children who were questionable and I would have also hated being related to.
Yeah.
They had their moments of sweetness with each other.
Yeah.
So,
but also the family, right? Because now they've got a common enemy. They're trying to survive Krampus and his minions. So like now they're coming together to save each other.
Right. Because ultimately they had nobody else.
Yep.
I think one of the themes was really you have your family and that's who you really have in life.
Well, I also think that it's real easy when things are fine in one's life to take things for granted.
That's
right?
A good point too, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Krampus also serves as a reminder of the dual nature of the holiday season. While St. Nicholas embodies generosity and joy, Krampus represents the darker, cautionary side of winter festivities. This duality reflects the balance between celebration and accountability, making Krampus a fascinating figure who continues to haunt Christmas tradition worldwide. So yeah.
Krampus.
I feel as our society becomes more nuanced, we are okay with potentially inviting these ideas into our, films and stories, because it's not all just sunshine and rainbows, right? There's darkness too.
Yeah. Yeah, and his family, I like that his family was genuinely kind of awful in the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have a big family, so I don't know if that's really normal.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just how people's families are.
Yeah, yeah.
That some of them are, very aggressive towards one another or trying to one-up each other.
Yeah.
I have no point of reference for that other than movies, but
right.
What would you say to that? Do you think that that's kind of how families are? There's a mixture of...
Yeah, and also films like Home Alone and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation were mentioned as references, because you also see that where there's tension being caused between family members, because you can, quite frankly, you can, right? You could be easily agitated because, everything's going well for the most part. And now all of a sudden, Kevin gets left behind, or the boss gives you a crappy, gift for the end of the year, no bonus.
Boy, isn't that funny looking back? Who even gets a holiday bonus?
Right.
I mean, the times are hard. I don't think that that's as common as it used to be.
Right. But, so all of these films are kind of distilled into Krampus as a Christmas movie, and then obviously there is the dark fairy tale where this monster comes from another dimension, and they're at war with this creature for their lives.
Yeah, I have to admit that I should have given this film a chance when it came out. I kind of didn't think much about it.
Right.
I don't really watch a lot of Christmas movies. Big shock, right?
Yeah.
And this one hit me in the feelings.
Absolutely.
Yes, I do have feelings.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely related a lot.
I know. I
to
could
Max.
tell. Very sweet child.
All I wanted was my family to be happy and enjoy Christmas, and yeah.
I was aware that the world is a vampire at a very young age.
Sent here to drain.
Exactly. All right. So to wrap up this film, Krampus isn't just a holiday horror film.
No.
And I would argue it's not a horror film. I mean, it's a horror fantasy, but it's not purely a horror film.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's a modern retelling of an ancient legend that resonates deeply with the themes of family, tradition, and morality. I can't even say it, morality. By weaving folklore into a darkly comedic narrative, Michael Dougherty's Krampus taps into the primal fears and joys that accompany the holiday season.
Whether you see Krampus as a warning to keep Christmas spirit alive, or simply as a terrifying goat demon who ruins Christmas, this story is a chilling reminder of how deeply folklore shapes our celebrations. So this holiday season, keep your letter to Santa intact, and remember, if you lose faith, you might just hear the clanging bells of Krampus coming for you. So now we're at the grand finale. So let's talk a little bit about the ending of the film. There seems to be some conflicting stories about what people think is the ending of this film, and I couldn't find anything.
Really?
Yeah. So let's get into that.
Okay.
I'd love to get into that. So why don't we talk about what happens?
Well, I guess it's okay to give spoilers. It's from 2015. I think whoever's going to see it
It's been,
is
what,
probably
9 years?
I know. I'm just slow to see things sometimes. Yeah, so to me it was clear that Krampus had them all trapped in his version of purgatory at the end.
Okay.
They were all in snow globes. They were trapped there. They couldn't get out. They were forced to spend Christmas together for eternity.
Yep.
It was very cutesy and wholesome.
Right.
And I think, I was disappointed. I thought, oh, really? Because the little boy appealed to him, Krampus let him go.
Yeah.
Like, what a sad payoff. After everything that he's put them through, he just lets them go. No, apparently he'd imprisoned the whole family. So what was the confusion, do you think?
Well, I want to start off with the moment where Max starts to shed a tear, and Krampus seems to kind of feel sorry for Max, but then he quickly lies and starts laughing and casts him into a pit of hell. And then suddenly Max is awakened, and he's in his room, and he realized that he had been sleeping this whole time. Or has he? He makes his way downstairs. His whole family are all gathered for Christmas morning, opening gifts, and then Max opens a gift, and inside the box, there is a Krampus bell. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly, which it's like amazing, he suddenly starts to kind of remember, like one of those moments where like you have such a vivid dream that you're like wondering if did it actually happen or were you dreaming?
I believe it actually happened.
Yeah.
We're multidimensional beings.
And then his parents start to also have the same look on their faces as like, holy cow, what the...
I like that you self-censor. I don't have to beep you.
Beep.
With the beep.
And then suddenly the camera pans out and you see that they're inside of a snow globe. And...
it seems clear to me.
Yeah. But what's interesting is that Krampus simply, because in the folklore to Krampus, he never gives anything. He's always a taker, right?
Oh, I've met guys like that before.
Right. They just take.
Take.
So now that he's been summoned, he's now either A, forever watching them, kind of like when you're a kid and your parents are like, all right, well, that's it. I can't trust you. And I have to like watch over you like 24/7 because you're, going to go off the handle at any moment. Or did he already take the family into the pits of hell? Because that was also part of the lore of Krampus, that for people who were excessively bad, that's where you'd wind up.
I can't say that I know Wizard. But to me, it just seemed like he trapped them in a snow globe and he was watching them and they were unable to leave.
Yeah. This ominous dark force policing them and other people.
Yeah, there were multiple snow globes.
Yeah. And, judging by Black Friday sales, there's no shortage of those folks lingering around.
Yeah, I don't feel like Black Friday is the thing that it used to be, though.
No.
Because I do all my shopping online pretty much. I mean, we don't live in an area that has a ton of stores.
Right.
So I tend to just go online.
Yeah. But I remember like in Southern California, we'd be driving at midnight on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and the lines of cars like waiting to get into the mall.
Eve Target.
Yeah. Like I remember one time driving through Glendale. I remember one time a person saying driving out to Ventura County from like South LA for sales at one of the outlets, in Camarillo.
Right. Yeah. And I know that I've spoken to people who do that and it's a tradition in their family and it's something that they enjoy. They get up early together, they'll have a meal, and then they'll go fight with other families at whatever stores. And it's kind of sweet when you think about if you enjoy shopping. And I mean, it's harmless as long as you don't punch anybody, which I'm afraid I might get hyperstimulated and have a panic attack.
She may hatchet a few people along the way.
Listen,
at the Mucho Mart.
I'm a kicker, You get too close to my circle and I'm having anxiety. I don't know. I can't make any promises.
Yeah. Yeah.
I might make Krampus look like a nice guy.
Yeah. And also I started to see a thread between Pazuzu and Satan and Krampus, right? What is it with like the goat?
The goats.
Man?
Where does this come from? I'm sure that there's an answer to that.
Leave a comment below if you know.
Yeah, I'm sure, we don't claim to be authorities on honestly anything.
Yeah. We're just living life, man.
We're just living life. We're just vibing we're learning stuff and we're talking about it together. But it's always a freaking goat.
Yeah.
What did the goats ever do to anybody? They're sacrificed. They're adorable.
Yeah.
Goats are adorable.
Yeah. They're just doing their thing, man.
They make that noise? I don't know. You can tell that I don't spend much time on farms or nature. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know what noise goats make. I've seen one.
Yeah. I've had raw goat milk.
Ew.
Yeah. It was really
Did it taste
interesting.
Good?
It's weird because the taste reminded me of the smell of goats.
That does not sound appealing. Do you think that Krampus can be milked?
I don't want to find out.
We could make eggnog from Krampus's milk.
Oh, we're going to brand that.
Wow, we really started with the magic of Christmas and ended with, can you milk this goat demon?
That'll have to be another episode, Nancy Nightmare.
There's only one way to find out. We summon Krampus and give it a shot.
Yeah. Well,
you know?
Yeah.
He might be surprised. He might enjoy our company. You never know.
You know, maybe he hasn't been given a proper shake. You know what I mean? Because we're only getting...
Sorry. How else would you milk a goat? You know a better way?
I don't, but I'm sure we could probably find out on one of these farms around here.
Ew. I'm not going to a farm. I've only been to a farm a few times in my life, and I gotta be honest, I didn't enjoy the smell.
Yeah.
Well, that was an illuminating walk through the lore of Krampus, a discussion of Krampus 2015. I wouldn't say this. I know it sounds so far in our podcast, like I like everything.
Yeah.
And I like a lot of things. I can find things to enjoy about most films.
Yep.
But I feel like you have The Exorcist, which is like best picture material, phenomenal film. Mm-hmm. And then you have Annabelle, which is just a joyride for me.
Yeah.
And then you have something like this, which is somewhere in between those, that I actually think that this had a lot of merit. It had a lot of, I keep saying good vibes. My vocabulary is suffering from too much social media.
Well, it's like a PG-13 type movie, right? Where, and I think it was Gremlins that actually created that rating because it was scary, but it was still like a family movie. And I think that's what Doherty wanted from this film. And that's the impression that I get, you know.
It's an easy watch.
Absolutely.
I don't, it's not like watching something that's a violent slasher or something where you're like, like this is just a nice, pleasant December watch.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for me, for sure, I really enjoy this film. I don't like everything, but this film, like it really hit me on a lot of different levels. So
Toni Collette.
Yeah.
The goddess herself. Yeah. Love her. Who is Australian. Did you know that? Sneaky. I'm always shocked when I find actors that do an American accent. And I'm like, they freaking did it again.
Yeah.
The Brits got us again. Well, in this case, the Australians got us again.
They got us again.
I never know who's an Australian or British actor until I see an interview with them. And then I'm like, oh my God, people are so talented.
Yep. Yeah.
Unbelievably talented.
Yeah. And we can't. And also, I want to talk about the lack of CGI. So, like shout out to all of the folks who worked on the monsters, right? Because it's incredible work. They use very little CGI throughout this film, and in fact, a lot of the actors said that the director did not show them what the monsters looked like because he wanted that genuine scare for seeing them for the first time. And I think that comes from Aliens, where Scott did the same thing to the actors as well.
I also, speaking of Scott, I want to shout out Adam Scott, who played the father.
No relation.
Who is in one of the best movies of all time, Step Brothers.
Yep.
And plays a bit of a bag in this one too.
Yeah.
Who softens throughout the film. You start to kind of like him more, but right in the beginning, you're like, oh God,
yeah, especially towards the end where everybody's sacrificing themselves to save the other members of the family.
Yeah. I'm not sure I would have done that for that family.
Yeah.
We're like, well, it's been nice seeing you. Bye.
Yeah.
Good luck, everyone.
Well, we want to thank you guys for tuning in. Definitely hit the like button, subscribe, share, tell your friends about us. We really appreciate you guys.
We do. Thank you so much for all the positive feedback you've given us so far. Feel free to leave any feedback, positive or constructive criticism.
Yeah, tell us if you've seen this movie. Let us know in the comments below. Let's get this conversation going.
And we hope that you'll meet us again at the Midnight Gathering. Until next time, stay spooky.